Okay, so we're going to talk about tiny homes by Susan Guerrero. So probably is a family member of Diego, we don't know. So we have that this genre of this story is an informational text. As we saw previously, an informational text is a kind of text that wants to inform you about anything. Like for example, it wants to inform you about a discovery, about something that you should know, something that you should do, something related to health, to economy, and many other things that we can imagine. However, in an informational text, an author writes about facts or real events. So here we are not talking about fantasy like in the last story of the Cozy Cozy Who's, but we are talking about real things that people do, real things that people experience. And Tiny Homes is a text about tiny homes, obviously, and the benefits of living in them. Probably you have seen them before or you haven't seen them before this class, but a tiny home is a type of house that is different to a regular house, not only by the size, but also that they can be mobile. So that means that you can move them from place to place and they can be constructed with unusual materials and in different places. Let's take a look at some of the examples. Let's see. Chris, can you please turn off the microphone and the camera? Thank you. Okay, let's continue. So we're going to start talking like there are two types of houses. Houses that are big and can stay in just one place, and probably the ones that you have, the one that I have, that they don't move whatsoever, they are kind of big. However, and houses that are small and move from place to place. This is the type of houses that is called mobile homes or tiny homes. In this case, probably you have seen them on TV shows or in movies. There are houses that have wheels on them and they can move from place to place. For example, I remember that one show that had these kinds of houses was probably you remember Ben 10. And I remember that the first season of Ben 10, they moved in one of these kinds of houses that was from Ben's grandpa. And what happened over there is that a house that is really small, it has just the things that you need. Probably just have a bedroom, a place to have dinner, and a bathroom, and that's it. And probably you will not have anything else because it's not necessary. People that live in these kinds of houses, they want to have less things and probably they are more comfortable with less space. Maybe because they live alone, maybe because they are just a small family, or maybe because they don't need that much of luxury to have in a house. We're going to see the reasons why people may want to have one of these houses. Especially one of the reasons is that maybe that you can move it from place to place, so you don't have to be, as I was telling you, just in one place forever, and you can visit many places in your house. Tiny homes can be made up of different materials, and they do not need to follow decoration patterns like regular houses. What do I mean by different materials? Probably when you see a normal house, you see a house that is made of brick or that is made of adobe or something, or some materials like those ones. But in the case of tiny homes, they may be made of aluminum, they may be made of dirt in some cases, they may be even made of just pure metal, and that depends on the type of house that you have. In some cases, for example, in the United States, you will find some that are made of wood as well, but normally they are not made at the same material as a regular house, but materials that are more similar to the ones that are used on cars because of the different parts and different materials they use. They don't follow the decoration patterns that regular houses. What do I mean by that is that since the houses, they are not so big, that means that there is not a lot of space. Therefore, they have to adapt all the things that are in the house to just a smaller space. Like for example, instead of having like 2 bedrooms, they will have just 1 bedroom, and that bedroom at the same time is the living room, for saying something, because they want to optimize the space as much as possible. The tiny homes, as I was telling you in the presentation, have limited space. Therefore, places like the kitchen can be the dining room, or at the same time, for you to keep the shoes and clothes under cabinets in your bed. You take a look at the presentation, we have an example of that. You see that people over here are sleeping, obviously, in this camera over here with the 2 beds. But under one of these beds, you have many, many cabinets. And what are those cabinets for? Some of them may be for keeping the shoes in one place. Some others may be for the clothing and many other items that you have. Therefore, you have your bed, and at the same time, you have a closet under your bed. So you have more space to use your bedroom or to include many things in your bedroom that probably you wouldn't have otherwise. Another thing is like, for example, not only these kinds of changes can occur, but also there are many things that can be granted into just one place. Like, as I was telling you, the kitchen and the living room are together. So that means that you will have everything in one place and you don't have to go from one room to another to do one thing. And also that means that it's more convenient for you because everything is at reach. At reach, I mean that everything is close. Okay? So people like to live in tiny homes because they are more affordable than a regular house. A regular house may cost between $200,000 and $300,000. Just imagine, that's a lot of money. For that amount of money, you can probably buy a luxury car, one of the best ones in the world. Well, not the best ones in the world, but a really, really decent luxury car if you want to. But this is the price that you have to pay for a real house, a house that you can move from place to place, that is bigger and have all the things that you may need. It's a little bit expensive and sometimes people cannot afford that because, you know, it's not that everybody buys a house with all the cash. So that means that they buy everything with that quantity on the first place. They buy it on different payments. So they are paying monthly a certain quantity of the 200,000 or a certain quantity of the 300,000. That will depend on the kind of contract that they have. While a tiny home goes between $8,000 and $42,000. So we're talking about a huge difference over here in price because tiny homes, since they are smaller, they don't require a lot of construction and they don't require a lot of time to be made. They are cheaper and people can afford them. The people that normally wants to have a tiny house is the people that may just start out to live alone. Okay, like they got their first job, they already graduated from the university, and they want to have a house, but they don't have enough money to pay for a regular house, so they cannot for a tiny house because there is going to be just probably him or her and with another person, and that's it. They don't need more. Another reason why people live in these kinds of houses is because they can save time to enjoy life. What do I mean by save time and enjoy life? Imagine that you have a regular house and you want to travel to a different country. When you get older and you have your own house, you will have to do many, many errands at that time if you want to leave the country because you have to suspend the electric bill, to spend the water bill, suspend the internet bill, all the bills that are attached to your house because you're not going to be there probably for 1 or 2 months. And therefore, you don't want to be charged extra for something that you're not using. As well, that means that it requires a lot of investment in money. That means that you have to invest in many different things. And when you have to travel, you cannot take your house with you. But with tiny houses, you can. You can just put them in the road, you put some wheels on them, or use a mobile house if you prefer. Go wherever you want with your house, and no problem whatsoever. You save a lot of time, effort, and money. As well, how can people save time when they have a tiny house? Just imagine cleaning a big house by yourself. Cleaning a house that is 3 floors tall. How much time will it take for you to clean that house completely because it's going to be too big and to have 3 floors and it's going to be a real mess. While in a tiny house, you probably are going to spend less time doing that because it's just a little bit of space that you have to clean up. It's not something that complicated. As well, if you want to enjoy or paint it or decorate it in whatever fashion that you like, you are going to last a long time decorating a regular house, while a tiny house, you probably can do it just in a day or an afternoon if you like to. So people with tiny house, they want to have these kinds of houses because they enjoy a lot of freedom. Freedom in the sense that they can go wherever they want. As you see over here in the presentation, we have a house that has the wheels on them and people can move from place to place without any restriction. As well, tiny homes is an excellent option to help the environment since they require less energy. Since you have a tiny house, that means that in this case, you're not going to be using a lot of electricity, you're not going to be using a lot of water, you're not going to be polluting the air or the environment so much as if you were to have a regular house. They require less energy, okay, because less space. And more importantly, even homeless people can benefit from tiny houses. You may be asking yourself why and how? Well, because they are an option that the government, at least in the United States, they give or they use to help people that they don't have the resources to buy a house and they are abandoned or they are in the streets. There is a program in the US, I don't remember the name exactly, but what they do is that they build tiny houses and they create like a little neighborhood for people who's homeless. And the house just basically has the things that you need, a bathroom, a kitchen, and just a bedroom, and that's it. That's all the thing that I need to people to have a like kind of a decent life instead of living on the streets on their own under the weather conditions. And maybe there are just houses that are cheaply made in the sense that they are not so expensive and not so incredible on the inside, but at the end, they serve the purpose to help people out when they need it. And with that, we're going to finish the explanation of the story. So now we're going to start recording and we're going to go to the book and start reading the story together. So